The Oscars are a fucking tire fire. So Suicide Squad won an Oscar. And the only thing it won for was basically that fucking Joker makeup you hated. So there you go. The Oscars, strike one, go fuck yourself. I didn't even hate Suicide Squad. You can look back at my video. I think it's merely a victim of over-editing. Like, I feel like there might have been a good movie hidden there. But I do know the one thing people didn't like, and it was that friggin' makeup. Fantastic work. Hilarious. What else happened? What else happened? What else fucking happened? Oh, right. In the last 3 seconds of the show, they had Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty show up after an entire night of just bagging on Trump for not having his shit together. And listen, like, do me a favor. Please separate yourself from however you feel about the president, about your politics. We're talking movies. It's just dumb bullshit. This is not my fight. But I want you to appreciate that fucking Bonnie and Clyde, geriatric though they are, got up on stage after a night of virtue signaling, and they basically collectively shit their pants right at the end of the show. It's appreciable. That's all I'm saying. Like I don't, no matter which side of the fence you fall on, you have to appreciate when someone talks a ton of shit for like a 12-hour broadcast or however long the Oscars were. Amazing. They gave the wrong award. I mean, they gave the correct award because Moonlight is a better fucking movie than La La Land, but whatever. But my God, simply, spectacular. They got butt fucked on national television and they were already running late, so they couldn't even properly give Moonlight its moment in the sun. They're like rolling credits as, oh man, fan-fucking-tastic. So anyway, let's do a video that quickly runs down the best pictures, only 2 of which I actually think are good films. The best picture nominees, it should be noted that Oscar bait, if you know what the term Oscar bait is, then you should accept the fact that the movie that wins best picture is by no means necessarily the best picture of the year, or the ones nominated for that matter. Lion. I really liked Lion a lot. I did. I thought Lion was a good movie, but here's my thing. I have a long-standing problem with biopics and things based off of true stories. I got fed up years ago with The Social Network being a wildly inaccurate movie. I kind of hit a point where I'm just like, you know what? I don't deal with biopics anymore. They come out, I go, so what's that going to be like? Kind of a version of the real story, but then at the end, they're just going to combine 3 characters together to save time, or they're going to add a romance angle, or they're going to, like, sex it up in some way, one way or another. So if you take Lion as a fictional story, I really liked that movie. I think it was really, really well done. I have not looked into the guy's real story. I do think it was amazing that he looks like just a regular dude in real life, and they picked a beautiful man to play him as the adult version in the movie. But aside from that, really great movie, really powerful final scene. I do think that you could save yourself a lot of time and watch a 30-second Upworthy video about the same story rather than sit through a 2-hour movie. But, I thought it was a good movie. I think Lion's worth seeing. Hell or High Water. I liked Hell or High Water. I thought I was going to like Hell or High Water a lot more. It's one of those movies that has a trailer that gives away way too much about what's going on in it. You can clearly see in the trailer that one of those guys may not necessarily make it out of this movie. I'll do a larger review for all of these, but basically Hell or High Water is kind of No Country for Old Men for dummies. If you didn't like the parts of No Country for Old Men that might have been difficult to understand, Hell or High Water pretty much spells out everything you need to know about that movie. Like, it's a good movie. I like it. But if we're going on a 5-star system, it's like a 3.5. It's goodish. It just, make no mistake, Jeff Bridges is aping Tommy Lee Jones from No Country for Old Men. There was a large concept of like following him and him not understanding the world anymore. And then there's a weird, like, aren't banks the worst kind of a plot, which sure they are. I agree. But it's fine. It just feels like No Country for Old Men for dummies, like just as shorthanded. It's cool. It was never going to win this category. Up next, La La Land. The best picture. Yeah. I'm okay with La La Land. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I hated that movie. It is just outside of the musical factor. It is another movie about Hollywood blowing itself for being just a place for dreamers. You know, just dreamers that like to dream. It is also far less racist than I thought it was going to be. From everyone whining online about how it's a white man who saves jazz. That's not the plot of this movie at fucking all. If anything, basically Ryan Gosling plays a handsome version of a neckbeard hipster that likes jazz because it's the only music that's pure anymore. And basically his black friend that's much more successful working in the jazz sphere kind of gives him a job, gives him a life, and teaches him what to do. There's a part where he's reacting that the John Legend character is not doing jazz the way jazz is meant to be, man. And he basically says, like, look, you're pretty good at the piano. You're probably the best guy I know. But here's the deal. I will fire you today, motherfucker. Like unless you get in line. And he does. And then at the end of the movie, it has nothing to do with him making jazz mainstream. He makes crappy music for money. For like, man, that's not what the movie's about. I don't understand this fight. But the rest of the movie is just Hollywood blowing itself. Like, Hollywood's rough and it'll eat you alive, but it's a place for dreamers. But if it could be hard, like, it's that movie. It's that movie. And then if you really want to look very hard at it, I don't know. There's an element to it that you could say, I guess this is about a white man saving jazz, except he doesn't. And I'm not spoiling any of these, but like, he does not. That is not what happens. All right, fine. Let's do this. Hey, Hidden Figures. Do you like clapping like a seal at ideas that you were already agreed with before you came in? Okay, you'll like Hidden Figures. It's another one of those movies. It's not a bad movie. It's fine. You know, I don't really know who Kevin Costner was playing. I don't really know who the Bazinga guy was playing. Like, I don't really know anyone that was involved with that space trip that wasn't named John Glenn. So this argument of, you knew all the other heroes of NASA, but what about these 3 strong black women? I'm like, I don't fucking know anybody. Houston, in every movie or every news thing that I've ever seen, has always been, I don't know, it's a bunch of white dudes in like ties but no jacket. I don't know. That's if that counts as I didn't know there were black people that worked at NASA, I guess. But the movie's fine. Everyone's fine in it. I'm glad that the real life woman was able to be there and accept awards and like present it. That was cool. That real cool. I have nothing against these real life women, but the movie itself is just, you get it. You're either going to go there and be very happy to have what you thought it was going to be affirmed, or, you know, whatever. There's a line in like the opening scene of Hidden Figures, and like one of the characters basically point blank turns to the camera and goes, Dateline 1963, 3 black women are chasing a white cop down the road. Racial relations are tense here in America, but we're trying to take down old Ivan and the Ruskies. Will our 3 brave heroines have the gumption to send our boys into space? Find out in Hidden Figures. It's fine, but fuck you. Hacksaw Ridge. Did you see the trailer? You saw the movie. It's that. It's literally that story. The only part you're missing is a quick Wikipedia search away from whether or not the guy lived. So that's it. Watch the trailer. If you feel like you want to see that movie, then go ahead. Otherwise, Hacksaw Ridge is that trailer, except long. It's not a bad movie. There's a battle and he doesn't want to kill people. So he joins the military, but he's brave even though he doesn't want to take a shot. And then he saves like, out of the whatever, like 117.3 people in the middle of the night in this one battle that you know is not going to go well because it's all, you know, telegraphed in the trailer. So literally the trailer is missing like 5 seconds on the end to go like, and now you know the rest of the story. So Hacksaw Ridge, if you think you wanted to see it, then see it. You'll like it. It's a war movie. It's one of those. But if you're looking for like, I wonder what's going to happen with this guy who doesn't like to fire a gun, it'll be that. Hey, let's talk about Fences. Viola Davis is awesome in Fences. I don't like plays that we turn into movies. I think they come off as awkward. And by that, I don't mean any play you convert to a film. I'm saying there's a very specific type of theater acting type dialogue. And that is what Fences gives you. Like, the movie feels like a play that's been turned into a movie. It's not the same thing as we adapted an existing script into movie form. I think that there's something about theater dialogue that when you try and transpose it to a more realistic art form becomes stilted and weird. So I totally understand why Denzel didn't get that award. And I like Denzel. I have nothing against Denzel, but he monologues for like 150 minutes in the first scene of that movie. And it's a little difficult to watch. I don't think the movie does a good enough job in selling the magic realism. So I think the ending of that movie comes off as accidentally funny. And I think there's a clear point in the middle of Fences that you should have been going to the lobby, get yourself a snack, because it would have been the midpoint of the play. You would have gotten up for an act break and come back. And rather than that, they did this weird montage to show you time had passed. That was awkward. I feel like Fences is an awkward film. Going through them, like, I feel all these other movies are good movies that were just, probably not my thing. And I feel like Fences was kind of not a good movie. I don't know, but I think there are parts of that movie where Denzel is amazing. When he's telling the backstory of his father, I think that's a great scene. I think it has moments that are very powerful. Then it has play moments that rip me right out of that motherfucker. And Viola Davis has her big scene that you've all seen before because it's all they show about the movie. They show you that scene and then they show you the scene of Denzel yelling at the sun. And that's it. But the Viola Davis scene is excellent. Really excellent. And the Denzel scene where he's yelling at the sun, also really excellent. I feel like those are completely not the same style of acting that Denzel uses the rest of the movie. And Viola Davis kicks ass the whole time. Totally justified. No contest. I like Fences to an extent. If you like play movies, you'll like this way more than I did. And then you've got Moonlight, which was I thought this movie would win nothing because I thought it was actually the best movie of the year. I thought Moonlight was an excellent movie about real developed characters that were interesting. They had flaws. It was a complicated film about complicated people in a way that struck me as real, and I could feel it, and I enjoyed that film immensely. I think Moonlight was my pick for best picture the whole time. Like, absolutely. Like, it was definitely, and I thought, like, no fucking way they're gonna give it to goddamn. I didn't think La La Land, to be honest. I thought they'd be too afraid of the white man saves jazz thing. I thought they were gonna give it to Fences. I legit thought that. I had no reason to think. I think Lion was gonna get robbed all night, which it did. But like, I thought Fences was gonna sweep, and they would have been too afraid of La La Land to give it any awards. And boy, was I wrong. Except about Lion. They got fucked. But Moonlight, really excellent movie. I legit recommend Moonlight to anybody that appreciates film. That is a movie that we'll be talking about years from now. It feels real in a way where, like, when you make a movie like Dallas Buyers Club, it's a cartoon, and it's just not real. Like, that's not real. Everything that happened in that movie, it doesn't read accurate. Like, and Moonlight reads so real. Powerful film. I really love that movie. Finally, Manchester by the Sea, which I did not see until right after the freaking Oscars, because I just didn't get there in time. Ignoring how anyone might feel about Casey Affleck. If we're all okay with Roman Polanski, I'm going to be okay with Casey Affleck until you throw him in jail, and then I'm still going to be fine with the movies he's made. That's just, you have to separate artists from art. But Manchester by the Sea is excellent. I love a good depression fest, and I really do. And there is one scene with Michelle Williams that I normally could give or take her. Like, I think she's very talented, but I also think that she comes up in a little bit of a way that's like, all right, let's calm down a little bit on this one. She gives a scene where she explains how she feels about an action that happens in the movie that is really powerful. And there is something about the way Casey Affleck is destroyed through this entire movie over the actions of the movie and the death of his brother, which is the linchpin beginning of the film for the most part. No spoiler there. It's really worth seeing. I mean, you are absolutely gonna need to be prepped to be depressed. I gotta tell you, like, for the Oscars to have given that award to either Moonlight or Manchester by the Sea, I would have been happy with either one. La La Land would have just been them blowing themselves again, which was just like I get it if you like musicals. Like, I'm not ripping on musicals. It's not my thing, but that's not my fight. I am completely cool with Moonlight as the choice for Best Picture. It's not my pick for Best Movie of the Year. My pick for Best Film of the Year is obviously Hardcore Henry. I mean, everyone knows that. I mean, the movie was robbed, not even nominated. Just a stellar film, just an amazing triumph of everything that we've ever worked for as a people. Just fantastic. And a movie all in GoPro. You gotta love it. I'm joking, of course. My real, I'm kind of not joking. My real movie is actually Swiss Army Man. I think it's a crime that movie was not nominated for anything, because I get that it's a movie about a farting corpse, but it's also a movie about mental illness. And it's something that I genuinely, like, they said when that movie came out that the first fart will make you laugh, the last fart will make you cry. Like, that sounds dumb as hell to say out loud. And I appreciate and I get why they wouldn't have even nominated a movie that invites that kind of a thing. But dude, Swiss Army Man. And in 5-10 years, we're going to be talking about Swiss Army Man. Like, that's just the way it is. That's one of those movies that people are going to look back on and go, you know what, man? People are going to pass that around as like, oh, you haven't seen this? This is a fantastic thing. It's funny. It's sad. Swiss Army Man kind of has everything. Totally recommended. Absolutely my real pick. I'm going to do a larger review on that in the future. But with Moonlight winning, fucking totally satisfied with that. I feel like the good guys kind of won last night. That actually worked out. Because, like, I would have been, like, if Hidden Figures won, that's a fucking travesty. Like, that movie, it's not a bad movie, but it is a who gives a shit movie. It's a by the numbers movie like that. You know exactly where that movie's going. And if your reason for liking that movie is because, like, well, someone needs to make a movie like that. Like, I guess, but is that the best movie of the year because we were forced at gunpoint to make a movie like that? It's all right. And Fences is probably an excellent play. But I'll tell you what, it's an awkward film. And La La Land is yet another friggin', you know what? We gave it to the artist. Hollywood, shut up. Like, we get it. So yeah, I'm very happy with Moonlight winning. That's cool. I know Hollywood was really waiting for old Mimi to weigh in on how their stupid little $10 billion award show went last night. But let me just throw this out there. Good enough. I'm happy with it. And the way they fucked up at the end. If they can find a way to fuck up that bad every year, man, they got a fan for life. All right. Enough of me rambling. Thanks, everybody. And I will talk to you soon. Be sure to like and subscribe if you feel like it, even as I stumble over my words. And if you're going to get mad at me for Hidden Figures, I guess tell me down below. But, whatever.